Good morning, juniors. Today we are going to talk about reproduction. So, our objective, I can explain the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. A quick review. We know that all organisms must reproduce. It's one of the 8 characteristics of life. We know from our study of cell division that mitosis produces identical offspring, identical daughter cells. And we learned that meiosis or meiosis produces sex cells, and those sex cells are genetically different. They're used for sexual reproduction, which we're going to talk more about in a second. Just some quick vocab review. Offspring means baby. So when I refer to offspring, I mean the babies. So let's start off talking about asexual reproduction. For asexual reproduction, you only need one parent to make offspring, to make babies. So that means the offspring are identical to the parent. They're clones. This occurs through mitosis. So whenever you hear asexual reproduction, you need to think mitosis. This means that all of the inherited traits are exactly the same as the parent. So all of the offspring's inherited traits are the exact same as the parent traits. I'm going to pause and give you a few seconds to copy this down. Pause the video if you need more time. Okay, so some advantages of asexual reproduction. It's pretty quick because the cell just needs to divide. And you don't need to find a mate in order to reproduce asexually. That's because you only need one parent. Asexual reproduction only requires one parent. Those are the good things about asexual reproduction. The bad things, the disadvantages, is that all offspring are the same as the parent because they occur through mitosis, and we know that mitosis makes identical daughter cells. All offspring are the exact same as the parent. This means that they're less able to survive change because they don't have any adaptations or mutations. So those are the bad things about asexual reproduction. A few examples of organisms that reproduce asexually: bacteria, jellyfish do this cool thing called budding. These are aspen trees, and all the trees right here all came from the same parent. This is a sea anemone, like in Finding Nemo, and strawberry plants. These organisms all reproduce asexually. Now, sexual reproduction requires sperm and an egg, or gametes, one from the male and one from the female, from two parents. So, unlike asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction requires two parents, a male and a female. And obviously, they get their sex cells from meiosis. This means that offspring have variation in their DNA. They are not identical to the parent cell. And that makes sense because we learned that the product of meiosis, those 4 daughter cells, they're all genetically different. Well, those genetically different daughter cells combine to make genetically different offspring. Now, sexual reproduction means that offspring inherit traits from both parents. So their DNA is similar to both of their parents' DNA, but it is not identical. And like we learned, sperm and egg must join to form a zygote. That is how sexual reproduction occurs. That zygote develops into a baby or the offspring. I'm going to pause, give you some more time to copy this down. Pause the video if you need more time. Okay, the good things, the advantages about sexual reproduction. There's variation in the offspring DNA. That means their DNA is different. All of the offspring are different. That means that they are better able to survive change because they have mutations, they have different adaptations. They are better able to survive change because all the offspring are different. The bad things, the disadvantages about sexual reproduction, are that it takes a lot of time and energy to make sex cells, to make gametes, to find a mate, and to make an offspring for it to develop. If you think about it, mitosis happens very quickly. Asexual reproduction happens very quickly. It takes 9 months for humans to make offspring. That's a long time. It takes a lot of time and energy. So those are the bad things about sexual reproduction. Some examples of organisms that reproduce sexually, obviously us, people. You need a mother and a father to make a baby. Clownfish, because I'm just sticking with Finding Nemo examples. Pine trees, pine cones, those contain plant sex cells. Flowers, these are orchids right here. Puppies, because they're cute, but they also reproduce sexually. You need a male and a female gametes to combine to form puppies. So quick recap. Asexual reproduction only requires one parent, and it results in genetically identical offspring. This occurs through mitosis. Sexual reproduction requires two parents, male and a female. That means that there's genetic variety between the offspring, and this is a result of meiosis, from those genetically different sex cells that are produced through meiosis. Make sure you're going back in the video and finishing your Cornell notes if you didn't get the notes before. And let's get started on guided practice.